my name is CF Claire. I'm a paranormal and fantasy romance author, aspiring author, as well as middle grade fantasy aspiring author. It's editing me here to say, this is your only warning. I'm a stay-home mom. There is a disaster that I face in the middle of the vlog, pertaining to that. So whether that's interesting and you want to keep watching, or not cool and you want to stop, now you know. As well as, by the way, I know my hair is always crazy, and especially in these clips. It's too bad. I don't know how I didn't notice, but to be quite honest, there's nothing to be done about it. It's just the way it is sometimes. That was my little thing about that. You'll see me again at the end of the video. It's the 22nd of January, and I'm about to start the third quarter of this project. It's the final quarter because I've already written the fourth. There are 10 chapters, and then I'll be done. That'll be so nice. However, this I anticipate to be the most difficult. So we shall see if that is accurate. I've just been looking through what I have outlined for this quarter, and there's a big problem because I don't think any of the events that are going on are specifically actually that good. A lot of what I have in these bullet points is actually just emotional reaction, which honestly most of that is fine. But then what are the scenes of that? So there are flaws, for sure, of only bullet point outlining. There are the pros, there's the reasons we did it, and there are certainly cons. I think what I need to do, though, is really hammer out exactly what my characters' plans are for how they're trying to achieve the goal, because they're slightly different now at this point from what I had fixed in the second quarter because of the events at the midpoint. So I need to really hone in again on, okay, where are they at and what, in their plans, and what are they going to do next? And I think from that, come up with the events of how that would go. And then once I have that, reassign those things to chapters and take some of the emotional insight that I already had in the bullet point chapter list to put that in with the scenes. This is not what I want to be doing in a first draft. It's the momentum is just completely derailed, and I had just gotten the momentum back, and it's the process, though, and that's one of the reasons why one of my goals for this year is to just write a lot of first drafts and really get better at the process, because I want to write a lot of books and I don't want to constantly be in this derailed, then write, then derailed, I want to figure out what do I actually really super need and just write it. And then, okay, revise it. What do I need to do to revise it? And revise it. So we're staying positive. It is unfortunate. I did suspect this would happen, and I've been dreading it. I have been dreading the third quarter more than anything. The fourth quarter scared me because I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily. And the second quarter was difficult because I had to fix a lot of stuff. But the third quarter I have actually been dreading because I think it's the most difficult, to be honest. In romance novels, the whole interest is the push and pull between, will they, won't they, will they, won't they? And the first quarter really naturally lends itself to that because, they have some initial meeting, and then there's, strong reasons why they, don't want to be together, but also, then a strong reason why they have to anyways. So, that's pretty well taken care of. And then in the second quarter, there's a pretty decent push and pull inherent in them not wanting to do anything together, but they just got into the situation where they have to, and but they're learning about the other person, and okay, there's some stuff about them, but they don't want to be doing this. It's just okay, that's also pretty inherent to that push and pull, makes it pretty easy. In the last quarter, you have them being at this very opposite stage, and so you get to really lean into that, but also the good things, and then the grand gesture, and like, I don't, there's like a lot going on in the fourth quarter. But the third quarter, that's a difficult balance. And that's honestly where, as a reader, I lose interest the most often in books, because it's really difficult to strike that balance. Because usually by the midpoint, there's some reason why they're like, you know, starting to want to be in a relationship, or they're like literally in a relationship or something. And now you need to have them falling further in love while also knowing that looming ahead they're gonna get broken up. And it's, I don't know, it's just like a lot more difficult to find that right balance, I think, as both a reader and a writer. So I don't know. If you are an author of romance books, please let me know. Is there a quarter that you find the hardest? Does any of this make sense to you? Or if you read, like, where do you usually stop reading if things aren't going well in the book? I don't know. This quarter is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be good when it's done, and it's going to be better than what I have. But unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to stop and do this. But it also, like, there's no point just starting to write the chapters the way I have them outlined, because I can just tell looking at them, like, I know that it's as written, it would just get, a lot of things would be scrapped from there. So, you know, why bother writing things that I'm going to scrap? May as well use that time I would have used to write it to instead re-outline it and write it closer to what I'll want in the book. So here we go. I've talked about in some of the other vlogs about how I really, really need to have both the macro and the micro, like, outline styles, because especially with things like this where, like, I'm at the more micro level and it's just like not working, so then I need to be able to zoom out to the macro level and be like, okay, looking at what I know big picture for this part of the story, like, let's go zoom back out to that and then hone in again on a different way that we can get to the micro. So that's so helpful for me, because I just can't, like, I don't naturally do that, you know, I need the actual help. So I have that in a couple different versions. The broadest version I have is the one sentence for the protagonist and the love interest about kind of just like broadly what happens from their point of view in the third quarter. I think what I have on that level is actually like really solid. So that feels good. So then let's take a look at the next level out from that, which is the 8 sequences. The third quarter is going to be the 5th and 6th sequences. My 5th sequence was by far the weakest that I wrote, and I think I don't agree with it. I think I need to redo that. And the 6th sequence literally just like is not on here. So I don't know. I'll have to go hunt that down. A better like framework for what's going on. This is super helpful. This is something that I did when I was trying to figure out the second quarter, where character arc change would happen, because there's no character arc change actually happening in the second quarter. But I realized that I needed to know like the difference between how they're acting and their like thought processes between the first, second, third, and fourth, because there is like slight variations. So I'm looking at what I put for their character arcs in the third quarter, and I think it's good. I think that is like helpful to steer things in the right direction. The purpose of like doing these vlogs is to kind of like give a very real look into how I'm going about fixing my stuff. So I am going to be like more specific in this project than I probably will in any other project. I've like given away a lot of things about the book throughout the course of these vlogs, and I don't think any of it like ruins the story, but I don't plan on like giving so much details in other vlogs. So with that being said though, I am going to share like what I mean when I say I made character arc little flashcards for each quarter for my protagonist and love interest, because I don't know if anyone else does that. And maybe it's a tool that would be helpful for you. Sorry if you can hear my kids. It's my writing time. And so it's their playtime, and they might be a little loud downstairs. So to make the character arc change card, it's one card for each quarter. So the first quarter is where they start their like weaknesses, and the fourth quarter is where they need to be wholehearted. And so that means that the second and third quarter are their like progressions towards that final fourth quarter. I'll share L4 for the protagonist, so you can see what I mean. For the first quarter, Kira is independent, prickly, aggressive, distrusting, and guarded. She's used to people using her and disappointing her and having to take care of herself. So that's where she is in her character arc. Then in the second quarter, sort of by the end of the second quarter, by the midpoint, Kira realizes that being guarded and prickly is not achieving the effect she wants. Kira wants to believe there are good people in the world and that she could find love, but she does not believe that. In the third quarter, Kira is unable to let go of her fear and distrust, but she sees that there is another way of living if she was able to. She wants to trust Riker with the truth and to stay with him, but she can't let go of her fear. And then in the fourth quarter, Kira is happy, open, and learned that people can be trustworthy. She realizes that there are good people in the world, and she has earned love and made friends because she has let people in. And that's like at the end of the fourth quarter. So that's the character arc journey. And if that's a tool that's useful for you, let me know. I'm going to be using that pretty hard right now. So, and I have one for the love interest as well, so that just helps figure out where characters are in their arc. Alright, I'm going to track down those sequence cards. I've been working on this for, I think, about an hour, 2 hours, and I have to stop and go check on the kids, but we're getting closer. Isn't it funny when you have to rework things in the third quarter, and it's kind of like, I think I found something that's going to work to organize my brain and the way things are like so crazy in my brain, but it does mean I also have to do the first and second and fourth quarter in the same way to really accurately untangle everything. So we're doing that too. I think at the end of it, it's gonna be a really useful tool for someone like me. But we're doing a lot of stuff. And the goal is to like get better, right? So it's fine. We're learning. And hopefully we don't need to do this with every book. But for someone like me who needs the micro and the macro, I think you just have to do a lot of stuff. It's January 23rd, and I wanted to just show a little bit of what I did. I'm not going to like focus on these too much, but you can see like the first column I have like the pink table is for my protagonist, the blue is for the love interest. The first quarter, there's no goal because that doesn't come until the end of the first quarter, but they have like an initial problem and then a plan of what they're going to do about it. So initial problem for both of them, their plans of what they're doing in order to fix it, summary of what they're doing in the first quarter, and their character arc in the first quarter. This top part is the first sequence, or like the first half of the first quarter, and the second part is the second sequence, or the second part of the first quarter. Then this is like the second quarter, first half of the second quarter, and then second half of the second quarter. And we have a new table over here because they are now like together. So now we have the goal instead of the initial problem, and then we have the plan of what they're going to do about it. Their summary for that quarter and their like character arc spot. And then down here we have the table of reasons not to fall in love with each other. So for him, not to fall in love with her, for her, not to fall in love with him. And then also like starting to pull from these a little bit of reasons they will eventually fall in love with each other. Then the second half of the second quarter, it's the same thing, but the plan changes a little bit in each sequence. And so that's interesting to see because, of course, I was talking about how, like, I've lost track of what their plans are. And so it's just, like, not tied together. So I've been really dissatisfied with how to, like, string things along in the writing, even in a first draft. It's helpful for me. I have these things in like multiple other places separately, and I just need to organize information. You know, sometimes just having things next to each other where I can just like flip the page instead of like, oh, where's the thing on this, and then where's the thing on that, and where's the thing on that. Anyways, so I did get up to the third quarter. I'm just going to leave the fourth quarter. I think it's a good revising tool, so I'll do that later. We figured out what we need to do for the third quarter, so that's good. That was the first step on my little, like, here's all the things I need to do before I think I should actually, like, sit down and write this third quarter. So now that I did this and I know what the plans are for both of them, I'm going to go back and take another look at my actual, like, sequence cards for the 5th and 6th sequences. It's January 24th and it is my writing time now. But before I do any sort of work on that, I'm like having, it's not an existential crisis, but it's a, you know, just like, you know, multiple times a week recurring, regular, normal, expected crisis that comes with being a stay-home mom. So remember how I've mentioned things about being a stay-home mom in like other vlogs? We're going to talk about that right now because as it turns out, despite whatever you may have heard, sometimes being a stay-home mom is really hard. It's hard. So let's chit-chat about that because I'm like right at my computer. I'm going to make a graphic for myself to make myself feel better because I want to be a full-time writer. And you can't obviously really actually be both a full-time writer and a full-time mom when you have young kids at the house. Like, you just can't. You can't. So obviously that's a problem. So I need to get the evidence in my face about everything that's going on and what I'm doing so I can feel better about myself. I think part of this is like because I'm in this re-outlining stage before actually writing the part of the book that like freaks me out the most. So I'm already just like, and then I'm also trying to be like, okay, let's just figure it out and do it. But that's a great mentality to have. But the way the days work with young children, you just can't do stuff ever, basically. And today was a very normal day. Let me show you something. So we're zoomed in on my daily journal page. So this is from Sarah Cannon's planner. I really, really love it. This was today. The day started. I didn't come downstairs until like about 7, and I have to go outside by 8:20 with my daughter to wait for the bus to come to bring her to school. So in that time, I need to make sure that all the kids do all of their stuff, that we pack everything we need to pack for her lunch, get her new water, like do whatever I need to do for the day so that I can go wait outside. I've been trying to do my like journal and coffee and tarot cards in the morning as well before that. So there's like, it's constantly, right, up until the bus comes. It's just like, get ready for the day. And then the day is really, really blocked off because, you know, every day we eat lunch around now, right? So like anything that happens before that has to happen before that. And the bus comes at 3:20, between 3:20 and 4, somewhere in there. So I need to be outside all the way until the bus comes. So the day's blocked off then. And this is my writing time usually, somewhere in there for about an hour and a half. 7 o'clock, they're tired, they want to go to bed because they wake up at like 5 in the morning, guys. Like, it's crazy. So 7 o'clock is bedtime. So it's just like, you can see there are blocks to the day, and you just can't fuck around with that because then you just don't do anything. What did I need to do today besides the normal things? I had to make our weekly food order, which I did. Next to each thing, I write how long everything I think it will take. And then I color it in either red if I know that it's not something that I enjoy doing, and in blue if it's something I do enjoy doing. I find that I really need to do this kind of thing, otherwise my mental health goes like, wow, way down the toilet. Because let's take, for example, like I need to brush my son's teeth. Now, how long does it take to brush teeth? I mean, it should be 2 minutes, right? Because that's what the dentist recommended. But it, realistically, maybe like 5 minutes because he's got to get up onto the stool and you put the toothpaste onto the thing or whatever. So that's 5 minutes. Did it take 5 minutes? No, it never takes 5 minutes because that's how long it literally takes. But then you have the argument of like, oh, again, it's a new day, a new morning, like let's brush your teeth. And then, of course, all the reasons he doesn't want to do that. And then the things that he drops on the floor and then has a crisis about. And like today it was straws. He dropped his straw on the floor and then started losing his mind because it wasn't supposed to drop on the floor. So then that turns into us having a 20-minute conversation about how we can move past, like, things are going to drop and we are able to pick them up and we can move along with the day and like, let's brush your teeth. So did it take 5 minutes to brush his teeth? No, it took 30 minutes to brush his teeth because that's how long it took to have a breakdown. So anyways, I need to write down how long I think things will take because then I can look at it and it makes more sense at the end of the day why I didn't actually get anything done ever. Or why I feel that way. I'm like, oh, that's right. I thought it was going to be like this long. It was actually like the entire day. Okay. I guess that's what happened. And that's why, even though, we're home all day, like we have no plans to leave the house, but does that mean that the entire day is like free? No. There's so much to do because this is only like the things we need to do for sure. And then there's like all of the other breakdowns. Like, I mean, in this, 9 to 12, in that 3-hour period, we had 2 separate other emotional meltdowns that we had to figure out. So, I mean, you can imagine it's like an hour about out of this 3-hour time chunk that was just like dealing with like being a therapist for a 4-year-old and helping him cope with his feelings and find a healthy way past it. So let's flip the camera again. So I end up getting frustrated when I can't just like do writing because that's like my passion, it's what I want to do for a job, hopefully to make money, eventually. That would be great. But also because like it is good for me and I enjoy it and I'm called to it and I love it. And I love my children and I am grateful to be able to be with my children. But realistically, I feel like there's just so much wrapped in the word like stay home mom. And it's really like full-time mom, full-time therapist, full-time daycare provider, because like if a child is not home all the time with a caretaker, mom or dad or whatever, where would they be? Like they have to be somewhere. It would be daycare. So what you're doing is essentially you are full-time daycare. And even more than that, usually you're also like, full-time on-call therapist, full-time on-call cook, full-time on-call like nanny, right? Like it's a lot of stuff wrapped up in, oh, stay home mom. Oh, how nice. It's like, yes, but what's the sick day policy? Like there's no sick day. There's no vacation days. There's no nothing. Anyways, I'm trying to get in a better state about it. So I'm going to look up what is the normal cost for where I live. I'm in Massachusetts. If I wasn't a stay-home mom, if I was instead at the highest qualification job that I am qualified for, which is a Starbucks barista. That's what I was for many years. I was a shift manager for 3 years, barista for a couple of years. That's like what I'm qualified for. As a shift manager, I made like $16 an hour. I think entry level now is like 15, which is awesome. But so we're gonna base everything off of like, if I wasn't doing this, I would be, making $15 an hour. So how much money am I saving my family by being home all the time? Let's figure it out, because I think that's going to make me feel a little bit better. I think it's so interesting watching other people's like author tube vlogs of like, their process and what they're doing, and then like, oh, fun, like, take yourself out to the coffee shop and like have a writer date with yourself or something. And I think that's so cool, and I'm so happy for people who can do that. And I just don't see that many people who are in the stage of like, you're home with the kids and you're the child care provider, and you're also trying and want to be not even just a part-time writer, but like, or like writing for fun, but like that is what you would hope to do like full-time, like, because that's where I'm at. I am a full-time mom with a young child at home, and I would love to also be a full-time writer. Both of those things are very fulfilling, despite whatever crisis I'm in right now. I love being a mom, and I love being home with my kids. And I'm so grateful to be able to do that, even though like literally we have to. There is no other option. But like I am so grateful to be able to do that. Anyways, here I am having my crisis, and I was like, you know what? I'm probably not the only other stay-home mom who's trying to be a writer who has these crises, consistently. It's consistent, because it just happens every day, right? Like the kids freak out and things take a long time, and it's like, okay, there goes all of my emotional and literal energy for writing, and there goes the time I had, because now it's, on to the next part of, being home, taking care of kids, and we're doing pretty good, guys. We're doing pretty good. But in the meantime, like, I think it's good to remember, for me, for sure, even when I'm literally doing nothing, I'm still saving the family so much money. And that's important. All right, let's see if we can edit this. I literally have been like ranting about this for like 40 minutes, I think. So I don't know what I'm going to cut it down to, but just know it's been like 40 minutes for sure. Okay, we did a pretty rough outline for those two sequences, and I think it'll just get like tweaked when I take this and try to think like, what are the connecting events? So that's the next thing I'm going to do. And it's not like I'm not using what I already outlined for it, but it's such a big difference that it all has to change. So I guess that'll be tomorrow. It's late now. It's actually like after 9 o'clock at night, but I'm getting excited about the third quarter. Isn't that funny? I'm getting excited about it. I started thinking of it. I have a hard time with plot. Let's say that. I just like really struggle when I'm like, ugh, what happens and then what happens next? I don't know. Like I need more interesting questions before I can come up with things that I actually care about and get excited about. And I guess I just hadn't been approaching it like that. To be fair, I just untangled things. So, but the general, like, overall question that I usually use to help myself in the third quarter of a romance novel is like, the protagonist and the opponent both have their like fear of love, or like whatever associated with love. And so in the third quarter, all of the events of that kind of answer the question of how do they face their fear of love. And that's just something I don't know if anyone actually, like, if that's applicable for anyone else, but that just, like, to me encapsulates what that quarter is really doing. And that's actually just super helpful with the combination of where I really was like, okay, here's where they are in their character arcs, and how are they facing their fear of love at this time in their character arcs? Like, what would they do and how would they react in these situations? That helped a lot. And I was like, okay, And what are the other things going on in the third quarter? Like, because they're at this stage of their character arc where they're like starting to actually make small changes, then these things would happen, like deepening relationships with these side characters. We would learn more about this, and this. So that means that there needs to be a scene where that happens. So I just started like basically brain dumping all of the things that were coming up with that. And that got me really excited. And actually, there's something that I've kind of been, for the last couple days, toying with the idea of. So the reason that they're actually together right now in the story is that there are reasons why the love interest proposes that they like embark on this like mating bond for a certain number of months, for 4 months, and then at the end of that, like if it's not working out, like he's gonna pay her. And there's reasons that make sense, and there's reasons why she doesn't want to do it and why she feels like she has to. And so there's like some good conflict and tension, and it's all tied to the themes of money and motherhood and all kinds of things. And I had that problem of like, oh, he's like too good at the beginning and he's just like offering this stuff. And I think what I really like and what could generate some really fun scenes would be, yes, that there's a contract, but that within that contract there are like stipulations. I think he is like the kind of person who would be like, how do we actually know that you're like giving it a real try of like us being together? Because she definitely is not going to give it a real try. She doesn't want to. So I think there would be like, you know, we have to do this and this and this. Otherwise, it doesn't qualify as a real try and you like can't get the money or whatever. And he wouldn't have done that in this version that I wrote because he was too good of a guy at the beginning. Like he was just like, I think I even had him. Yeah, I was like, oh, he just like gives her the money. And then she just like has these reasons where she's like, oh, I guess I should just like follow through even though I don't really want to. And it's just like, we can't do that. Like they have to start off worse. So he's not going to just give her the money. But I'm just getting really excited about that because I'm like, oh, okay, then I could like insert like some of the issues I've been having is like with their plan of how to follow through. And if like the actual literal plan that he has is like, oh, like go through the steps and make sure that we do these things from the contract because then she'll want to stay with me, then that's like, that is the plot. A lot of it. And there is a way to like really, really easily weave that into literally the other 3/4 of the book I've already written. So that is like pretty funny but it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, I have some stuff going on that I really like, but it's not unified by like a plan. But this would really unify it. And so that means that in this third quarter, we could get to a couple like really fun ideas of what those stipulations might be. And those could really easily build into those like deepening desire beats. And so I'm getting excited thinking about that. The other thing that I really like about that idea is that the person who like draws up this contract for this like mating bond, that person is one of the love interest's best friends, and that best friend is the love interest in book 2 of this series. And I think that's just like a really fun tie-in, and he's such a fun drama king, just cinnamon roll, wonderful character. And I love him. And I think it would be super fun if he was the one who like came up with the stipulations, and they're like very like romance novel-esque because he is like a romance novel reader, like voraciously, and it's really cute. And so if he was like, okay, like I'll make this contract even though I think you shouldn't do it, but I'll only do it if we do these stipulations, and then Riker, the love interest in this book, is like, I'm not going to do that. But then there are just reasons between the dynamic between them and the ability to like argue his point that convinces Riker to do it. I think it'd be really cute, really fun, and then it's like, you know, that much more exciting when they're in the second book. It's like, oh, he has his like book now. Okay, cute. So I'm getting excited about it. I think that will be really fun. So I printed out more ideas onto cardstock and then sort of like played with the layout of that. In a very funny turn of events, I ended up accidentally giving 10 chapters to each sequence instead of 5 chapters, so I had way too much stuff. So now I've just been narrowing things down. We're gonna actually just end the vlog here because it's getting too long. There's too much going on. So the next vlog is going to be an impromptu sort of day in the life of a full-time stay-at-home mom as well as wannabe writer. So we're going to keep plugging away at this issue. We're doing all right. We're getting there. And you'll get to see a little bit more of that through a home with a 4-year-old vlog coming up next. I hope your writing is going well. Let me know if anything that I do helps you, or if there's anything that you do when you get stuck, things that help you figure it all out. I'd love to know. And I'll see you in the next vlog.